Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Farhan, also known as Gunner since 96, and you're watching my press conference reaction video where I will be talking about Arteta's press conference, pulling out some of the key quotes that he had to say about the game itself and about certain individuals. Not that much said in terms of, plans and preparations for the Brighton game. Final game of the season, and anything that will be happening after the season ends, going into the transfer window, the Euros, all that kind of stuff. We have been hearing a lot of rumours of late in the last 24 hours about the possibilities of Emi Buendia being purchased. We know that Arsenal are increasingly interested in the prospect of bringing Buendia to the Emirates. We're looking at a price ranging between 40 mil to 50, 60. Not sure. It's going to cost a pretty penny to bring him to the Emirates. And we've known this, though, for a while. We've known about Buendia since last season, being heavily linked to us. Norwich are promoted to the Premier League. They will want to build for that and try their very hardest to make sure that they don't get relegated from the Premier League next season, especially with fans coming back as well. They will want to be as strong as possible, and I don't know what their financial situation is, but I imagine they wouldn't want to get rid of their best players without the price being absolutely right. There's also talks about Joe Willock as well, potentially leaving. And I think it's in almost everyone's best interest that that transfer is made at the right price. I don't know if Willock is the right fit for Arsenal. I don't know if he's a conventional midfielder that we need. He's a very different player. In all the right ways, though, as a footballer, as a centre mid, he's very awkward on the ball. He's very bold, and he doesn't like to stick by the rules. As a central midfielder, he likes to bend them a little bit, and he's been fantastic for Newcastle. And should the price be right, then he should leave, and Arsenal should try and stretch as much out of him as possible. But in terms of Arteta's press conference, like I said, a few quotes about the game, about individual players. I'm going to start off by discussing a question asked about the game itself and the second half specifically. And the question asks, why do you think there was a change in momentum in the second half? Very good question, because we've seen it time and time again. I just don't seem to understand how Arsenal can go from one end of the extreme to the other. And Arteta answers by saying, well, the change of momentum was with the things that we did really well in those periods, and then when we stopped doing those things, we started to play the game we wanted to play, applying the plan we wanted to do, avoiding what they wanted to do. And when you do that, you are under control. We had the chances, we had the dominance in the game. The moment we conceded the goal after losing the ball and making an unnecessary foul in a really dangerous area, we conceded the goal, and after that we just lost it. We started giving balls away. We didn't look composed on the at the back in our build-up, and we looked uncertain. When that happens, it's long balls, second balls, 50-50 balls, and they are much better at that than us to play on the set pieces. So I think with the changes, we got that control back much better. We were more composed. We played in the final third without creating much, I must say, but at the end, with two great actions, we managed to win the game. I think that Arsenal continue to struggle with a big mentality problem, and one that Arteta has failed to fix and address. I think more than anything, this has to be our priority going into the summer. We need to build our squad around those that have a bulletproof mindset, those that aren't easily fazed by what happens in games. When we concede, when moments like we get a red card or something goes against us, like VAR, we need players that can shift that into the back of their minds and continue playing at the same tempo that they intended to, like in the game against Crystal Palace, in the first half, regardless of what was happening, whether we conceded a goal or not. And those players I look towards are players like Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, Martinelli, you could say to some extent, Pepe to some extent as well. But everyone else has a real tendency of dropping their head and forgetting how to play the game. And that was exactly the case in the second half. They just completely lost their heads and completely, it seemed as if confidence is and has always been a massive, massive thing at Arsenal, where if players don't feel good and if they don't feel comfortable and confident on the ball, then they can't kick a ball straight. And that's a big problem, and it's good to see that Arteta's identified that. But what's he doing about it? What are the club actually doing about this mentality problem? Because, I get maybe this isn't something that you can develop overnight, but this has been something that we've been experiencing for a good 5-6 seasons, maybe longer. During the times of Arsene Wenger and his latter years at Arsenal, this was a big issue, and we were finding ourselves, getting into these situations way too often, like getting into the Champions League final 16. That was like a massive a brick wall for us. We couldn't get past that stage, and if we did, then quarterfinal stage would be out. Well, 9 times out of 10 it was the last 16, and now we find ourselves staring at the same brick wall when it comes to the Europa League, and even trying to finish top 4, and it comes in situations like against Crystal Palace, and very lucky to get those final 2 goals. Otherwise, we'd be having a completely different conversation. There's another question about Gabby Martinelli, and the question asks, how close is Martinelli to starting regularly? Arteta says he's very close, and he needs to keep fighting to be closer and closer. We need to understand where the boys are and the phase of their development, what they have done this season and the last season. I know that we want to play with 11 academy players and all under 20, but guys, who is doing that? I think we've done it more than anybody. They're going to have their chances and they're earning their chances. We're not just giving the chances, they're earning them. Absolutely earning their chances, and it's a joy to have them in the club. I totally agree with him. I think that with Martinelli, he has proven that he's good enough to play against teams like, with all due respect to them, against teams like Crystal Palace, against teams like Sheffield United, Newcastle, and he's slowly moving into the next phase of his development, which is playing against the big boys. Your, I guess, average to good Premier League sides, your Evertons, your I guess you could say West Hams, even Brighton to some extent, teams that you're not going to just walk over throughout the course of 90 minutes. They will give a good go, and Palace are one of those sides actually that I see, especially playing Arsenal. They're almost like our bogey team. We don't like playing them home or away because they seem to nick points off us somehow. And I'm really pleased for Martinelli for getting that goal, because not only is that going to do the world of good for his confidence, but it's going to prove to the coaching staff and to him that he is ready to really push for regular football. And it's a good question, and I think the question was timed right. Starting regularly will be a question now that I will be asking Arteta going into next season as well, going into the pre-season friendlies, however many we manage to get. It's going to be really important the upcoming season for him. He's still relatively young. I don't know how old is he, whether he's 19 or 20, but for me, I look at whenever I look at an academy player, I give them until 21, and if it's not working out, they need to be moved on. And if there's a chance that they will make it, then by 21, they need to be playing regular football. It's as simple as that. And that's just something that I I don't know. I guess it's not a number that I've popped up in my head and I've just gone with it. I just feel like 21 is the age where a player, and obviously it depends, and every player is different, but on average, and certainly with the majority of players, young players coming through the ranks, through the academy, 21 will be the age. And you're looking at Willock, they will want to play regular football and they will want to perfect their craft so that by the time they get to 25, 26, they're at their peak and they are, ruling the world, so to speak. So, yeah, Martinelli, really excited to seeing him prosper. And it seems by Arteta's words that he will be, continuing to push for his place in the first team, and I won't be surprised if we see him appear against Brighton and score, or have an assist. He's getting to that stage. The last and final question talks about another player. So this question is about Pepe, and the question asks, do you think Nicola Pepe is finally beginning to settle now as a Premier League player, and are we going to see more of this consistency from him going forward? Arteta answers by saying, well, I'm very encouraged and positive to think that way for two reasons. One, because he's come a long way in terms of consistency and what he's producing in games, not just in the Premier League, but what he's done in Europe this season. And the second one, because it's his mindset. He wants to look at every action. He wants to look at every post-match reflection that we do with him. He wants to work and he wants to be the best. When that happens and he has the talent that he has, I think it's a really good mixture. And I totally agree. I think Nicola Pepe is at a cornerstone of his career right now, where he has finally settled into the Premier League. He's finally settled at Arsenal. He seems a lot happier, and the performances are being reflected of that. He is a player that has an incredible amount of talent, ability, confidence. There aren't many wingers in the Premier League that attempt to do the things that he does. And when he pulls it off, like he did against Palace, a mixture of confidence and a mixture of, I guess you could say, being able to call Arsenal his home now, just being relaxed and playing the way that he does is brilliant to watch. We would have envisaged Pepe scoring the type of goals, the goal that he scored against Crystal Palace more regularly. We would have envisaged that before he came, and those were the types of goals that we would be thinking that someone like Pepe would be scoring at Arsenal before he came when he was at Lille. I mean, he was doing that regularly for them as well, getting one-on-ones against keepers and skipping past defenders and cutting in from the right-hand side. And I was a bit worried actually when he was playing on the right-hand side. I was thinking, this isn't where he performs best. He performs best on the left-hand side. Every time he plays on the right-hand side, he always gets shut down by defenders, and he wasn't making it easy for himself. Oftentimes losing the ball quite a bit, but he kept at it and it worked out in the end, especially with the first goal. He's one of those players that is really beginning to mature and beginning to, his footballing IQ is beginning to really develop. And we saw it in the first goal with him getting into the right areas and the right spaces to put that ball into the back of the net. And we don't have a player like that. Even with Aubameyang, I just feel like he fails to get into the right places to receive the ball. So I'm really happy to see him finally, reap the goals that he's deserved after a quite a tough season, I'd say. And this is another player I'm really looking forward to seeing next season, because I think that he will really go at it. He will really come out of his shell, and the Premier League will see the Nicola Pepe, the 72 million pound version of Nicola Pepe. So really, really exciting stuff. That is it. Those are the quotes that I wanted to pull out. Those are the ones that stood out for me. He has another one tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be doing a match day build up, because Sunday is an early kickoff. So not an early kickoff. It's an afternoon kickoff, but it's a late afternoon kickoff, and it's 4 o'clock. Yeah. So I'll be looking into Arteta's press conference, what he's got to say about the game coming up. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and hit that bell notification to be notified every time I release a video. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay home, stay safe, enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, there will be plenty of content coming out even after the game on Sunday, because as you know, there are lots of Arsenal news doing the rounds, and I can't wait to get my teeth stuck into it. So I haven't been talking much about, the gossip and stuff. I'm saving it all till the end of the season. Yeah, but stay tuned. A lot of stuff will be coming in the works. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna go now. Thank you. Bye bye.